Welcome to the realm of intoxicating flavors and head-banging beer reviews.
What's up, everybody? It's the Ginger Yeti, and I'm checking in from home. Over the weekend, I was down in Daytona Beach at the Daytona International Speedway for Welcome to Rockville. It was way too hot down there. I mean, I don't know how people can stand out there all day long watching music in that 90-plus degree heat, crazy humidity, the sun just beating them to death. I don't know how people do it. I was only there for one day, and it was just, I stayed inside as much as I could. But I did get to Total Wine & More on that Sunday before I flew back home, picked up a bunch of beers. And one of the beers that caught my eye is this one right here. And it caught my eye because I have no idea what that says. And I tried to translate it with Google Translate. It wasn't working too well. But I was able to look it up because there is some English on the back here and on the side of the can. And this is the Country Folk. It's from Magpie Brewing Company out of Seoul, South Korea. So I've got a South Korean beer right here that I found at Total Wine & More. Don't remember what I paid for it. I got to find that receipt if I still have it so I can see what I paid for some of these beers. And this is a 6.5% ABV, allegedly has 10 IBUs, and it is a Saison Ale with Mulberry and Plum. Sounds pretty interesting to me. I mean, I was going to buy it no matter what it was because when I saw the writing wasn't English and realized picking it up, it was a South Korean beer. I knew I had to have it. Before I get on the rest of the writing on the can, I couldn't find a whole lot about the brewery because, although it is in English and Korean, there's not a whole lot about the brewery on their website. But it did say it was founded in 2011 in Seoul. And they named the brewery Magpie because apparently in Korea, the magpie is known to herald good news. So they wanted to name their brewery after something to kind of suggest they're going to bring good brews, good craft beer to the area, which I thought that was pretty interesting. So on the can here, there is some English and Korean writing. I can read the English bit, obviously, probably poorly, but I can read it, or at least attempt to. The can is one of those plastic wrapped cans, and the writing is just obnoxiously small on the can. I don't know if you can see how small that writing is, but that writing is just obnoxiously small. But I'm going to try to stumble through it anyways. So, Country Folk is a staple in the Magpie lineup. Brewed in the tradition of the local Belgian farmhouses that created the style, varied slightly year to year to reflect the changing harvest and available local ingredients. This version features a blend of Korean mulberry and tart green plums. Green plums? I don't know if I've ever seen a green plum. I just assumed plums were like plum color, like purple. Providing a complex fruitiness to complement the notes of rustic Saison yeast character. These flavors combine to create an easy drinking, thirst quenching beer with a uniquely Korean touch. It says brewed and filled by Magpie Brewery, Jeju, South Korea, if I pronounce that correctly. Product South Korea, born in Seoul, brewed in Jeju. And that's everything on the can I can really read other than the typical government warning. And I don't see any indication of a date on the can. Although I have shopped at... Oh, is this a date here? Oh, no, that's just Korean writing. I'm a dummy. Although I have shopped at Total Wine quite a few times, different locations. This is the first time I've been to the Total Wine in the Daytona Beach area. And I have bought some beers from Total Wine before and found them to be out of date, which is unfortunate. And since there's no date on this can, I can't comment on what the date is. Hopefully it's still in date or relatively close, because I would love to try this fresh. But again, it did come from South Korea, so there is some travel time involved. And I flew it home. So we'll find out. On Untapped, it gets a 3.67, 678 check-ins. Beer Advocate was an NA. And in my head, because it said Mulberry and Plum, I expected this to have a purplish color. And it definitely does not. Man, that's somewhat active. And again, I don't know the age on this beer, and it did do some extensive traveling. That smells Slightly fruity, and it's got some of that musky, horse blankety kind of Saison farmhouse character to the nose. And like a lot of Saisons I've had, or farmhouses, that did produce a big, giant, bubbly head, very fizzy. It is dissipating real quick. See if I can fit some more in here. And compared to Florida, it is a beautiful evening here in Cleveland. It's only in about the 50s here. So I'm loving this weather right now. It's not as hot as it was before I left. Of course. Never fails. So as far as color, it's very cloudy. Again, I expect it to be like a purplish color, I guess, just from the mulberry and the plum, even though it's a green plum. And there is a lot of carbonation. There's a lot of bubbles going on in there. And it's weird because it kind of almost has a gradient of color. I mean, it's real dark up here and then just kind of down here to a light yellow. I mean, it goes across like 6 or 7 numbers on the SRM chart from my vantage point. But I'd probably give it overall, about a 4 on the SRM chart. But it is pretty crazy. Maybe it's just the head giving a shadow to the beer, inside the beer. But it's like so much darker up here than it is down here. So, I've spoken enough. I'm thirsty. Let's see how this Mulberry Plum Saison is. Super cool to find a South Korean beer. Cheers, everybody. Whoa, very effervescent, like a lot of farmhouses are, or Saisons are. Very, very effervescent, but I expected that. You get some of that wild, earthy, funky horse blanket, but it's very subtle. It's not very pronounced, but it is there. Some slight tartness, but not super tart. Not very tart at all, but there's just enough tartness there to know it's got some tartness. And there's this sweet, fruity flavor that I'm not familiar with, which I would guess is being imparted by the Mulberry and Green Plum, which are 2 fruits that I am not familiar with at all. I don't know that I've ever had, I'm sure I've had mulberry and at some point, or a beer with mulberry in it possibly. Green plum, I definitely don't think I've ever had green plum. There's this nice fruitiness to it. And then there's almost the flavor of biting into a fresh apple, which I don't know if that's supposed to be part of the beer or if that's from the beer, possibly traveling, aging, whatever, that green apple kind of flavor. But it's not bad. It's not offensive at all to me. I like it. I quite enjoy beers like this. I just wish they weren't so effervescent, weren't so carbonated. Well, I know that kind of goes along with the style. And this beer overall, nice bouquet of fruit flavor that I have a hard time describing because I think it's from, again, fruits I'm unfamiliar with. But it's a fruity, sweet fruity, a little bit of like green apple, some like horse blanket or funk. It mixes beautifully together. This is a big horns up for me. Really tasty beer. Really enjoy this. This was a really, really cool find. I would not have expected to find a beer from South Korea in the Total Wine and More in Florida. So that was an outstanding find for me. See, it's so carbonated. Excuse me, it's already giving me the burps. This is a really cool beer to find. If you got a Total Wine and More in your area, go check it out and see if you can find this beer right here. Again, this is the Country Folk from Magpie Brewing Company. Really a pleasure to find this. It's an adventure trying these foreign beers, especially when they're, you don't know how they travel. There's no date on the bottom. You don't know if they're in date or out of date. But it's really cool to find. And as always, embrace the adventure.